Today we move to the second factor of awakening, and we'll be working with this for the whole month, yeah? And that is investigation, or Dharma Pacaya. And investigation is one of those tricky ones for us um, because we have our own associations to investigation, which are different, quite different than investigation as it's understood in these practices. Yeah. And this is true for a number of the words with the translations are okay, but it's just that we have so many associations to them ourselves and in our own cultural context that it takes a while to get the difference. Concentration is another one. We have a much different association, partly from the very time we were young kids, about concentrate, focus, and that's not concentration as it's understood in Buddhism, you know. So, but investigation is an important one, and it comes after mindfulness. Sometimes people think mindfulness and investigation are the same thing. They're not. They're not. Mindfulness knows, sees what's going on. It can label what's going on. It has some sense of what's going on. But investigation looks more closely at what's going on and as part of what's going on, what my relationship to what is going on as well. It's an investigation into my relationship to the experience at hand. Yeah. And in order for investigation to be useful for us, we do have to have a fair amount of settledness. Yeah, this is why we teach things in the order that we do, and we have to have a fair amount of settledness, and we do need to have some settled kind of concentration, when the mind is a bit settled, because in order to investigate, there needs to be a certain amount of calm, a certain amount of balance, a certain amount of non-sticky reactivity going on in there. We need to have a clear pathway to look more clearly what's going on. Otherwise, what happens is, and this goes on, we all recognize this. Otherwise, we're thrashing around in rumination and thinking, oh, this is what's going on. And I know, oh, I see what's going on. And that reminds me of da-da, 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 and on we go with making a story about what's going on and trying to figure out what's going on. And sometimes, often, trying to get rid of what's going on because we don't like it. So I'll investigate it as long as it goes away. Or wanting to cling or hold on to what's going on. Investigation isn't interested in any of those moves. It's interested in looking carefully, yeah, with a little bit more. It's like it's separating the wheat from the chaff. We have to look carefully and separate, begin to see what is my reaction, what is being known over here, what is my reaction to what's being known. Is it wholesome or not? Is it wholesome or not? Is one of the main aims of investigation, to begin to make that discernment directly. It's a direct noticing. It doesn't involve a lot of cognitive kind of thinking investigation. It's looking directly. Another important area of investigation is impermanence, noticing that whether something is permanent or not permanent, and looking quite carefully. We don't need to think about whether it's permanent or not. We see it, it's gone. We see something arising, it slips away, it's gone. Oh, look at that. It's a direct noticing. You see, it's a direct noticing. Investigation for us in our cultural context always has thinking as a major part of it. Analyzing, yeah, analyzing in some way, psychologizing in some way, and figuring out in some way. And since those are the natural tools that we have cultivated, we tend to bring those right into our meditation. Oh, this must be what investigation is. I'm going to get better at thinking about what's going on. It's a very natural move for us. That is our move. That is the move we know how to make. We're not so good at just stilling the mind and looking really carefully. What's going on here? Without judgment now, without judgment, without already making that kind of assessment about what it is, about it. And this is why the mind needs to be a little quiet, or the investigation is going to be, tainted with intervening variables that already muck it up, that already muck up the investigation. We've already determined whether we want something to be there or whether we want it to go away. So sure, I'll investigate it, but not really. Not really. It's like looking carefully and closely, carefully or closely, always followed by settling first, quieting first, and then bringing some interest. And the same qualities that we've talked about, bringing some care and interest, which originally we were just trying to cultivate the inner holding environment. Now we want to bring some care and interest and a certain kind of a little bit more precise, direct observation of what's going on. Is it wholesome or not? We don't have to think about whether it's wholesome or not. Does it feel good or not? Is there tension there or not? Is there stickiness there around it or not? Do you know? And is it permanent or not? Is there dukkha there or not? And to some extent, investigation is really investigating looking more carefully into the characteristics of existence, in particular, dukkha and anicca, the suffering component. We need to see how we are subtle ways, sometimes not so subtle, but when we look closely, how we are still co-creating our own suffering by the way we are attending to our experience, by the way we are pushing and pulling and grabbing and wanting something else to be there, and just being dull and bored, and all those spaces that we can get into that actually don't feel good and are not really moving us forward and are not really moving the path forward. So the investigations are in twofold. The two main ones are investigation into dukkha directly. Is there dukkha there? Am I participating in creating dukkha here in the way that I'm attending to my experience? And is it permanent? It's also more of an investigation into the radical nature of impermanence. And we tend not to look in that direction. Investigation is looking at some of the structure of the mind rather than the content of the mind. And we are content junkies, really. We are so attached to content that when the Buddhist investigation says, no, not content, process, structure of the mind, we hardly even know what that means. And we're completely new to it. So when we do the guided meditation here in a couple of minutes, I'm going to guide one on an investigation into impermanence. Even though this is one of the characteristics of existence, very seldom do we close our eyes and during a whole guided meditation, just look and see if things are permanent or not. Right? How often have you done that? That's hardly ever the focus of attention, right? So this is a great example of where investigation is just way different. And it won't just naturally arise either. And I meditated for a really long time before I ever really did a direct meditation and an investigation meditation on impermanence itself, on the quality of impermanence itself. Yeah. So again, we'll be exploring this from a number of different angles, this Dharma Vichaya, this investigation. But this morning, I'd like to just zero in with you a little bit on in impermanence. Okay, so that will be the focus, and I'll guide you. I'll guide you with that. So let's just open up a little bit.
I
Whatever needs a little extra attention, wherever you're carrying tension, yeah, tightness, stiffness. Oh, when you're ready, beginning to slow it down a bit and lightly closing the eyes. Even after lightly closing the eyes, sometimes I notice myself there are some smaller shifts uh, that need to be addressed in order to settle a little bit more, get a little more comfortable, a little bit more aligned there. And then again, as if for the first time, right? But always, always inviting the attention down beneath the thought stream into the breath. Maybe expanding the breath a little if that's helpful. Filling up a little bit more on the inhale and letting go a little bit more on the exhale. And settling just a little bit more with each exhale. Warming it up in there a little bit as well. Yeah. Some kind of caring or friendly attention. And then, when you're ready, begin to orient in this way. And the general direction of the practice is this, as if it doesn't really matter right now what is going on in your experience or what you're attending to, although we will keep Stay for now in the vicinity, what we say in the vicinity of the breath, of the body breathing. As we're doing that, we're simply going to notice that whatever it is keeps changing. Beginning to notice the changing nature of experience, regardless of what it is. Now, first, we can just stay right with the breath and notice the changing nature of the breath. What I mean is, if you look more closely, now investigation begins to look a little bit more closely. It's like if you had, a camera and you wanted to zoom, more like zoom in, that dial that zooms in a little bit more. And if we don't zoom in, it's just like this is one breath, it's one out breath and one in breath. And we can experience that way, almost as if it's, you know, kind of one thing, one experience. But now looking carefully, notice how even in one exhale, how many little changing sensations are there. The sensations are coming and going. The attention is fluctuating as well. Just noticing how there's nothing completely steady there anywhere. Really just a series of changing moments of experience. And you can notice now for a moment that the previous breath is already completely gone. Now, the next breath is not here yet, but this one is, this one right here. I'm going to get a little closer to the present moment experience, right? Staying with this very breath and notice how it keeps changing. And it's as if the things that you just have noticed are gone already. They felt like they're gone over the waterfall. And in the present moment, there are new experiences that are that are arising. New ones are keep showing up. And then they're very quickly, they're already gone. Just notice that. They're gone, 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 gone. And now that whole breath is gone. And here is the next one, right here. It requires a kind of a keen and balanced and non-preferential or non-judgmental attention just to notice directly changing experience. And in particular, notice how you can notice changing experience without having to think about it. Oh, this is impermanence. Now I can have that thought, which is also impermanent. That thought is gone too, you see. But I can just look at the moment to moment to moment, coming and going of experience, changing, changing, changing. We understand in a general way, all of us do, that everything is impermanent, everything is changing. But Dharma Vichaya, this investigation is, yeah, but let's really take a micro look, more detailed look, a more nuanced look at, is it really so? So we're taking ordinary level of attention or mindfulness and refining it, becoming more detailed, and taking some interest. This is one of the places where interest can develop when we ask a question, a Dharma inquiry and Dharma investigation. And in order to answer it, we have to look more carefully. It's not about thinking about it. Is it really true that things are changing moment to moment, second to second? Is that really true? Let me see in my own direct experience. And then you could widen this to include, say, body sensations, any body sensations that you're aware of. Zoom in again and begin to notice, is it one solid, unchanging sensation? Or is it kind of moving around in there? Aren't there a lot of little different noticings, a little different sensations, little different vibrations or pulsations? You see the difference here? And this has nothing to do in this investigation with the content of mind. Really doesn't matter whether it's a physical sensation of the breath, sensation of sound, a visual image, a feeling, or a thought. Ultimately, it's not beginning to in the investigation as your attention gets stronger and more consistent. You see, that's the key. Is that we still need a kind of a settledness, an interest, and and a really wanting to stay with it. Like, wow, is this really true? And you can begin to see moment after moment Nothing is staying. It's there for a moment and then gone. And then something else is there and it's gone. Now I can have the same thought 6 times in a row, but that's the first five are gone then. Gone, 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 gone. I can have it again. Doesn't mean it's the same one. If I look carefully, it's not the same one. It's just repeated. And the first ones vanish. And already everything that's happened in the first 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes of this meditation, it's already all gone. Now you can have a memory of it, but that's this moment. So we can't really go back. It's gone. And so just doing your own exploration with this, your own investigation over these next several minutes. You're just settling back. We can get a little intense with this kind of investigation too, we don't want to tighten up. Just settling back and noticing that no matter how you position yourself, with your attention, no matter what those inner moves are, whatever the content is, it's very quickly arising and then gone. But the good news is the next thing keeps arising too, but it doesn't stay. It's considered to be one of the most important investigations, Dharma Pacaya. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.